What's going on, Browns fans? Welcome into the Cleveland Browns Report. Coming up on today's show, we're going to check out what was a very interesting article, in my opinion, from Pro Football Focus. What they did was they looked at each NFL team and they outlined a best and worst case scenario for the offseason for each team. So I took a look at what they had for the Browns, and then I put my own 2 cents into it, where I agreed with them and where I disagreed with them. First, let's check out what Pro Football Focus said for the Browns' best case scenario this offseason. They said, get a new wide receiver 1 and fix the defensive line. I have no issue with that. I agree with that idea. The argument maybe would have been to upgrade the quarterback spot. I'm not going to do that this offseason. I am happy to roll with Baker Mayfield. Well, I don't know if I'm happy, but I'm content with rolling with Baker Mayfield for 2022. So let's start by tackling the wide receiver side of this thing. The Browns need to find a new wide receiver 1 because honestly, at the age of nearly 30 years old and coming off a career low essentially season for Jarvis Landry, riddled with a knee injury, he's not a wide receiver 1. He just isn't. So the Browns need to address this issue, and I'd like to see it done in the draft. In fact, here are my 4 top draft targets for the Browns at that wide receiver spot. This is going to be a fluid list. It's going to change throughout the offseason and as I watch more tape on these guys. But right now, Garrett Wilson's number 1. Jameson Williams, if you ask me on the right day, he's number 1. I just love the explosiveness he brings, but Wilson is just such a well-rounded guy. It's hard to pass up on him. Treylon Burks is sneaky good. This is going to be a guy to keep an eye on, especially when the combine and pro days come around. He could really do some soaring there. Drake London at USC at number 4. He broke his ankle towards the end of the season, so he kind of fell out of people's memories, but he is just like Treylon Burks. Excellent size and speed. Then there comes the argument of, well, you want to address the issue in free agency. Top 5 guys for me. I updated this for my last video. I put DJ Chark in there because Chark, I forgot, is a second-round pick who's just kind of been stuck in Jacksonville. And look what some guys have done when they've left Jacksonville, like Jalen Ramsey, for example. So I put Chark in there. For me, Godwin, Robinson, and Williams are the more realistic options. I think Devontae Adams is going to go wherever Rodgers goes, and in my opinion, that's not going to be in Cleveland. So where would you like to see the Browns fix that wide receiver 1 spot? You want it to be in the draft or in free agency? Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'll give you my opinion in just a moment, but type a D for draft or an FA for free agency. I don't think you can go wrong with either one, so that's why I'm going to bring in an old commercial, but a goodie. Remember that old El Paso soft shell or hard shell tackle commercial? Why not both? Why not both? Why not address this issue in both spots? Why not go out and draft a wide receiver and sign a wide receiver? Because my goal for this team in 2022 is two-pronged. 1, get Baker Mayfield back to the 2020 status we remember him as. And if you can't do that, then make Cleveland attractive in 2023. And what do I mean by that? Make the Browns a spot where there's so many other great pieces and cornerstones from hopefully next year, it's Myles Garrett, right? Top defensive end in the NFL. JOK, up-and-coming, soaring linebacker. A great duo at corner between Denzel Ward and Greg Newsome. And then on offense, Nick Chubb, maybe a last couple of years in the tank, Kareem Hunt, and a good wide receiver for a new quarterback to come to. Because if the Browns do want to go a different direction after 2022, if Baker's just not the guy after seeing next season play out, and they want to trade for a quarterback or want a quarterback to come to Cleveland in free agency, make the Browns a sexy, attractive place for free agents to come to. And I think you can do that this offseason by getting a great wide receiver, that 13th spot, and signing someone, whether it's not Chris Godwin, but a DJ Chark or a Michael Gallup. So I like to see the Browns make themselves attractive in 2023 by putting together a good free agency class this offseason and draft class. Looking ahead a little bit, though, predict the Browns' record for me in 2022. Let me know what you think down in the comments. I don't like giving predictions this far out because it's kind of just, I don't know, like pulling something out of your ass. But pencil me in for, let's go with 11 wins, all right? It may be a little ambitious after seeing what was Baker last year, but I'll go with 11 wins. Let me know what you think in the comments. Then we attack the second part of the Browns' best case offseason, which is fixing the defensive line, because the Browns right there are going to lose most likely 2 starters, maybe 3 starters. I don't see 10-year veteran Malik Jackson coming back, and I don't see Malik McDowell, who's not allowed within 500 yards of a Chuck E. Cheese at this point, coming back to Cleveland. And then Clowney, who's going to be a very attractive piece in free agency for several teams after having a 9-sack season this year. Maybe he wants to walk and go somewhere warmer. If you want to fix this issue, draft is the easier choice because it's cheaper, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. But you also have a top 15 pick, and you got a good second-round pick. But here's my issue. Andrew Berry hasn't had a keen eye for interior defensive line. In fact, here are some of his decisions he's made. He drafted Jordan Elliott out of Missouri back in 2020 in a top 4, a day 2 pick. Hasn't really worked out as he probably would have hoped. Tommy Togiai, the rookie last year, he had one good game against the Patriots, which was an awful game. But aside from that, you just didn't see much of an impact from him. Malik Jackson, he was fine, but he wasn't earth-shattering. And then you have Malik McDowell, who had a great year. That's probably the best decision he made at that front interior defensive line. It's unfortunate that Malik McDowell regressed into his old habits, which is breaking the law and having issues off the field. Sheldon Day was a free agent signing that just never worked out. And then Sheldon Richardson was a bold decision. Browns saved a lot of money. They cut Sheldon Richardson, saved about $10 million, but Richardson had a great year up in Minnesota. So if you could go back in a time machine and not cut Richardson, I don't know if Barry would make the same choice again. If you want to go with the draft, though, it's a much cheaper route because what you pay for someone you draft in round 2, 3, or 4 is much smaller than what you pay someone you sign off the street who just had a great year and is looking to get the bag. And I don't hate that idea. In fact, I think the idea of going with the draft route, although Barry hasn't had phenomenal draft picks, it's been a small sample size, just 2 years so far, I like the idea because you save that money and you can allocate it elsewhere. Before we get to the rest of the Pro Football Focus and my best and worst case scenario for this offseason, guys, the NFL free agency period starts in a month, March 16th, and we're going to have tons of free agency content coming out on the channel. So get locked in by subscribing today. If you haven't subscribed already, please join us here. We are almost less than 100 subs away from 5,000 subscribers. Appreciate all of you guys that have subscribed. Just like these recent subs, they're going to get a shout out. Alvin, Jody, RJ, Zach, Anthony, we got M. Hurd, Zachary, Gabe, Charles, Keith the Fiend. So appreciate those guys who have recently subscribed. And if you ever want to get a shout out on the show like they just did, all you got to do is just subscribe. Comment me. That way I can find you pretty easy, right? You put like a buoy on top of yourself in the comment section, and I'll put you in a future Browns report. So subscribe, comment me to get a shout out on the show. Now let's check out what the worst case scenarios for the Browns. I agreed with PFF's best case scenario for the Browns. Didn't quite see eye to eye with their worst case, though. Before we look at that in a deeper dive, our presenting sponsor today is Fanatics. And listen, when you go to chatsports.com/BrownsT, you can get this t-shirt combination 25% off. It's really simple. You just go to the link chatsports.com/BrownsT, get a long sleeve, get a short sleeve, get the throwback elf right there. I'll have that link in the comments and the description of today's video. So check it out, 25% off. You don't want to miss out on this deal. Hook yourself up as we're not quite at spring yet, but when spring comes around, you have a nice Browns t-shirt to wear. Worst case for me, at least worst case for Pro Football Focus, they said overpay Clowney and misdrafting a wide receiver. That was PFF's worst case scenario. For me, my worst case is just not addressing edge at all. In fact, I wouldn't hate overpaying Clowney after what he did last year and giving the Browns 9 sacks in 14 games. So I wouldn't be like crying if they overpaid Clowney because I want a Robin for Garrett. I do not want to see Myles Garrett go through the best years of his career with a revolving door at the other end of the defensive line. Olivier Vernon was great in 2020. Unfortunately, he tore his Achilles, ruptured his Achilles at the end. Jadeveon Clowney had a breakout year, a former first overall pick who kind of lost his stride. I don't want to see just a revolving door at that other defensive end spot, and Garrett doesn't have a Robin as he's Batman. So here are my top edge free agents the Browns could pursue come March. Clowney to me is number one. You know it worked. He got 9 sacks in 14 games, and he was great in the run stopping. So sure, bring Clowney back. Hassan Reddick had a great season for the Panthers. He got out to a fast start, and like the rest of the Panthers team, kind of slowed down. But I'd be all in on bringing Reddick in if they can't get Clowney. Gregory and Reed are my 3 and 4. Randy Gregory looking to probably get a big lump sum this offseason. My producer today, producer Jeff, he's a Cowboys fan. I know Dallas wants to keep Gregory in Dallas, but money talks. And then Malik Reed had a good 2020 season for Denver, quieter this year, but got stuck behind Bradley Chubb when he was active and Von Miller when he was still on the team. And then Emmanuel Ogbah for the Dolphins. He had a pretty good year as well. So those are my top 5 guys, but I like to see the Browns go out and get Clowney. Give him a 2-year, $21 million contract. You put some guaranteed, let other people do the money work. I don't really understand how contracts work. Anyone that does, by the way, tell you for sure how contracts work in the NFL, they're lying to you. They could also sell you beachfront property in Oklahoma. So just find a way to make it work. Give him a 2-year deal. Don't give him another 1-year contract. That's at least what I think for Clowney. What would you like to see the Browns do in round number 1, though? If it's wide receiver, type WR, edge, give me an edge, defensive tackle. Jordan Davis out of Georgia is a mammoth of a human being, so he would clog any hole. Or if you just want to play the field and go with other, give me an O for other. Let me know what you think down in the comments section below. All right, wrapping up the video, make sure you guys follow me on Twitter at Matthew Petey, always talking Browns right there, and shoot me a DM. Let me know that you came from this video. I'll follow you back as well, and we can enjoy some Browns Twitter together. Also, make sure you have subscribed to the video, or subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and we will catch you guys later here on the Cleveland Browns Report.